Now, the thread that ties all this together for us is really beginning to understand that what we're fighting against isn't just, there's some folks that don't like people who are different, but it really is a different worldview about what's primarily operating, and how the country is going to primarily operate. And what is powerful for me about being here with you all is I see it in your faces and I see it in your energy and I recognize it in you, that you understand what it is. That we refuse to be motivated by fear. That we refuse to give in to fear. Right? And say, well look, we can't let people out of prison now because what they might do, what they finna do, what they could do. It's the old Willie Horton story, right? I don't want to be that politician who has to deal with an ad running saying, you know, I signed or I approved or I voted to reduce the prison population or to stop locking up folks for having, you know, $5 worth of drugs in their pocket, and then some person did some horrible thing, and so now that I can't get my next office, right? Nobody wants that. Or, look, we got to keep pumping oil out of the ground, y'all. We don't know nothing else, and somebody else might beat us to it, and come on, this is what we got to do, right? Because you like your car, and you want the air conditioning, and right? It's fear. Look, we got to do something about folks coming across these borders, y'all. They're going to take your job, they're going to take your house, they're going to... Fear. Or, it's love. And you all understand deeply, beyond understanding, you embody that it's about love. Not just love for folks who done made a mistake, that's important, but love even for yourself and about where you want to invest and what you want. Because what you water grows, right? If you go over there and you're like, man, I wish this weed would just go, and you're just pouring water on it. Get on out of my yard, weed, pouring water. I understand weed, I hate you, pour water. What you got? You got a yard full of weeds. The grass dead and dried up and gone, blown away. You just water fear and water what you don't want. That's what they're doing. That's what they're fighting for. Keep watering that fear. Keep watering that fear. We're saying, no, bring that on over here to love. Bring that over here to education. Instead of spending money locking folks up, let's spend money putting our kids through school. Instead of spending money locking folks out, let's spend that money recreating our economy so it's based on a sustainable set of practices and not destroying the very earth we need to survive. And so that's what we're fighting for. That's the stand we're taking. That's who you are, and I recognize that. It's absolutely beautiful. So let me talk about what the opportunities are in this moment. There is an opportunity for us to argue quite eloquently and to some effectiveness that we can no longer afford to lock people up. And that is in fact true. It turns out as a state, we don't have a budget problem, we have a revenue problem. We won't raise revenue because rich people don't want us to take their money, and we haven't quite figured out how to all come together and just jack them for it, but we're working on it. So there's only so much money right now, theoretically. They say that, but if you look around the corners, there's more. But there's only so much money right now, theoretically. I'll come back to this. One day we'll have this whole conversation about how there's different money in government. You're like, wait a minute, there's a pile of money right there. Oh no, that's construction money. We can't do nothing with it. That's green money. It spends just like program money as far as I can tell. No, that's construction money. You can't do nothing. But we'll come back to that another time. So, there's only so much money to go around. And so you got to cut. And so what we going to cut? Well, we're going to cut everything we know that works and helps people. Why? Because everything that works and helps people, well, those people need help. And so they ain't really worth helping anyway. We would just kind of do it because we had extra money. But now that we don't have extra money, well, you know, we just kind of have to work it out. Good luck. If you was worthwhile, you wouldn't need help, right? Because that's the mentality. As opposed to, all of us need help. And some of us get it and some of us don't. And some of us need more, and so that means we should get more help because we need more help. Right? So there's an opportunity for us to go and say on Monday, to show up and say, look, we can't afford to lock people up, and that's true. But if we stop there, there's two problems. One is, this is California, 8th biggest economy in the world, maybe now the 9th, but one of the top 10, we'll settle it like that, right? On the Pacific Rim, you know, port state, this thing is gonna, it's only so long. We creative, we come up with stuff. We like in the computer making stuff now, because it's gonna change the whole world again. Kids is like on the street break dancing and doing all kind of, it's gonna happen again. It's just, Hollywood's it's just gonna come back. It's not gonna be here forever. It's gonna come back. The entire country might not, but it will later. So this is gonna come back. So it's not gonna be the problem. So when there's more money again, they're gonna be like, okay, so back open for business, more money, let's go. Right? So that's one thing. So we don't want to just come with the argument if we can't afford it, because one day again we will be able to afford it, and they actually have money, so they'll figure it out. The other is, I just lost the other one. Hold on. The other is,
we need a solution.
We need a solution, because here's the thing: some people don't care. I've actually met legislators who said, you know what? When I pointed out the number you all gasped at, we lock up young people at a rate of $215,000 a year, and we get these horrible 95% recidivism rates. It would be higher, but 2% of them die in 3 years. We could not get worse outcomes if you just sat down and designed it, reverse engineered it. You couldn't get worse outcomes. We can't afford to do this. And the legislator said, I don't care what it takes, I don't care how much it costs, I'll pay it. Because these people are criminal, they're bad people, they're throwaway. Right? And so we have this idea that they're a throwaway people. We have that. We have this idea that they're a throwaway species. They're whole throwaway ecosystems. And the truth is, there's not. And what we're learning about the world, like, people keep saying, well, you know, look, the radiation in Japan is not going to come over here and blah. Look, I'm not an alarmist. I'm not worried about the radiation in Japan this week. It turns out what do we know about the world? Well, it depends on your worldview, but there's actually only one planet. And what you do to one part of it, you kind of do to the whole thing. It turns out there's only one human family. And what you do to one part of it, it turns out you're willing to do to the whole thing. And so if we don't have a stand, and this is why you all are the perfect advocates for this, because you understand. You understand principle because you stand on principle. You understand that if you don't have a principle that that's not the way we treat human beings, then that is the way we treat human beings. If you don't hold the line on the principle of that's a human who is just as human as I am, and that's not what I would want for my mama, my kids, my granny, nor you would want for yours, then we're not going to have it for him or her. Because that's not how we treat human beings. And we have to stand by that principle in order to actually win this long term and to win it time and time again. And that's why you're the perfect people to do it. Because ACLU, y'all, you know, there's been moments where y'all just stood up on principle with stuff that I'm like, I'm going to stand here with y'all on this one, but wow, this is making me real uncomfortable. I mean, free speech, yes, but dang, they can't say that about my mama, you know, like that. You can't. And y'all like, no, that principle. No, they get to say that. I don't agree with them neither, but they get to say it, and I'm going to stand here. Right? And I'm like, woo, that's tough. Y'all are serious. Y'all don't play. Y'all like, I don't agree with them, but I still stand by the principle. And it's like, that, woo. Those are principled people. Those are people willing to take a stand and like say, no. This is what's actually true, unchangeable, immutable. You can't just bend it because like you don't like them that much no more. Or you don't agree with them because what's the principle? And so that's what makes you so uniquely situated. Such unique and powerful advocates is that people understand you're not for sale, and it's not you're not standing on a whim and a notion, but it's something that's rooted deep in who you are. That you stand by principle and you stand on it no matter what, and you call it as you see it, no matter who it is, and that is so beautiful. That is so what the world needs right now. So, I'll end by saying this to you. I had you all stand, some of you stand, who this is your first time here. And you may have, because I know young people come to things for a variety of reasons. Sometimes because they think there might be other young, attractive people there. Us older people never do that in college. But, so you may not have exactly known what you were coming to, because you just, we going, it's finna be, it's going down. You coming, we going to Sacramento? Yes. So you may not have known. Some other of us may not have known. A friend may have invited you because they're trying to get their, their grant on. So they're like, I'm recruiting members. Come on, we going, right? So you didn't know what you was coming to, but you're here now. And I'll tell you this, and I believe it. There are no accidents in God, right? This moment. I used to be, having been an activist for most of my life and being a student of history, I used to really want to be alive in the 60s. When it mattered, when we were so close to real fundamental global change. And, ideally, I read books and it was, whatever, it was what it was. But I used to really was like, it mattered. And now I realize that's wrong. The right now matters. And the fact that you were born and are alive and conscious and showed up here today in this room is not an accident. It's like when we're getting down to the last few minutes of the game and the coach calls your name or calls your number, it's not an accident. The season's on the line, we're going to win, we're going to lose, and the coach called your number. That's why you're here. That's why you were born. This is, for times such as these, is why you came into existence. Because the world needs you now more than ever. People of strong principle and goodwill willing to stand up and say, not on my watch. We don't treat human beings that way at all. And for that, I say thank you. I recognize you, I know who you are, and I thank God for you.